If you ask me, the current situation at Deception is nothing short of a dangerous, high-stakes stalemate. The cosmetics giant is sitting on a powder keg of unresolved tensions, fragile alliances, and simmering resentments that are just waiting for a single spark to ignite a massive explosion. We are rapidly approaching the end of July, and all the narrative clues point toward a ruthless power struggle that will tear the boardroom apart. In any normal circumstance, a war of this magnitude would require all hands on deck, with every major player fiercely defending their territory. However, the glaring absence of Maxi creates a terrifying vulnerability for the company. You simply cannot orchestrate a hostile takeover or a defensive corporate strategy without the woman who has been the operational backbone of the brand. The writers have painted themselves into a corner, and this cinematic deadlock demands an immediate and drastic resolution before the entire storyline collapses under its own weight. For years, Maxi has been the beating heart and the strategic mind behind the vanity projects and glamorous facades of Deception. She is the glue that holds the chaotic elements together, the one who navigates the treacherous waters of PR, disasters, and internal betrayals. To attempt to tell a story about the potential downfall or hostile restructuring of this company without her presence is narratively impossible. The audience knows her history, her fierce dedication, and her unparalleled ability to outmaneuver her rivals when her back is against the wall. The looming threat of corporate espionage and boardroom backstabbing requires her specific brand of resilience. The writers know that keeping her off-screen during the most critical juncture in Deception's history would be a massive disservice to the fans and a glaring plot hole that no amount of exposition could fill. Enter Serena. Played by the immensely talented Kelly Kruger, Serena is slated to make her grand arrival in late July, and I assure you, this is no mere social visit. Serena is not returning to simply catch up with old friends or attend a charity gala. Her arrival is perfectly timed to coincide with the impending corporate bloodbath at Deception. It looks like Serena is going to be positioned as a major power player, a ruthless force of nature who will likely align with or completely blindside Lucy. Serena has the legacy, the financial backing, and the cutthroat instinct to tear Deception apart piece by piece or rebuild it in her own image. With Serena stepping onto the battlefield, the stakes are raised to an astronomical level, making the need for a formidable opponent like Maxi absolutely critical to maintain the balance of power. This brings us to the elephant in the room, the continued absence of Kirsten Storm. As much as we adore her and respect her need for personal time, her current unavailability creates a massive narrative void that the network can no longer ignore. The soap opera machine does not stop, and the writers cannot simply hit the pause button on a highly anticipated summer storyline just because a primary actor is away. If the executives are truly committed to delivering this explosive Deception storyline, they are going to be forced to make a very difficult and highly controversial decision. They need Maxi on that canvas, and if Kirsten Storms is not ready to return, a temporary or even permanent recast becomes an unavoidable necessity. This is where the speculation gets incredibly fascinating, as we look at the potential candidates who could step into these iconic designer shoes. Let us dive into Scenario A. It looks like the network might be considering a highly strategic pivot by tapping Sofia Mattsson to take over the role of Maxi. If you look at the current canvas, Sasha is practically a ghost. Her character has been entirely sidelined, currently living off-canvas with Daisy and her parents. Sasha has absolutely no forward momentum, no gripping storyline, and no immediate reason to return to the center of the drama. Sofia Mattsson is an incredible talent who is essentially sitting on the bench while the show desperately needs a leading lady to anchor the Deception. From a logistical standpoint, utilizing an actress who is already on the payroll, familiar with the cast, and beloved by the audience is a highly efficient solution to a massive casting crisis. However, the psychological motive behind slotting Sofia Mattsson into the role of Maxi is deeply complex. The executives know that the audience already trusts her, but they also know that viewers deeply associate her with the tragic and resilient history of Sasha. Asking the fans to suddenly accept her as Maxi requires a massive leap of faith. This implies that the writers are willing to risk a certain level of cognitive dissonance to ensure the Deception storyline survives. They are betting that Sofia Mattsson's acting chops can overcome the visual shock of seeing Sasha's face delivering Maxi's signature snark. If they execute this poorly, it could result in shattered trust between the showrunners and the longtime viewers who hold the legacy of these characters sacred. Yet, if she pulls it off, it could be hailed as a brilliant maneuver that saved the summer sweeps. But hold on, because Scenario B is where things get truly wild and borderline unprecedented. Could it be that the writers are plotting an even more shocking maneuver to fill the void? I am talking about the potential return of Kelly Monaco. As we all know, Sam has supposedly met her demise, a narrative choice that sent shockwaves of fury through the fan base. Kelly Monaco's departure left a massive, gaping wound in the show's dynamic, and the viewers have not been shy about expressing their outrage. Instead of attempting the convoluted and often ridiculous trope of bringing Sam back from the dead, what if the network brings Kelly Monaco back to play Maxie? This would be an absolute bombshell, a casting coup that would instantly dominate the soap opera news cycle and draw in millions of curious viewers just to see how she handles the role. If you ask me, casting Kelly Monaco as Maxie would reveal a massive ulterior motive from the network. It would be a blatant, desperate attempt to win back the furious fans who threatened to boycott the show after the loss of Sam. By bringing Kelly Monaco back in a completely different, yet equally iconic role, the executives would be trying to have their cake and eat it too. They keep the emotional weight of Sam's death intact while retaining the immense star power of Kelly Monaco. The unforeseen fallout of this decision, however, would be astronomical. Watching the woman we knew as Sam for decades suddenly barking orders in the Deception boardroom as Maxie would be a surreal, almost hallucinatory experience. It would require the audience to completely suspend their disbelief and rewrite. Regardless of whether we end up with Scenario A or Scenario B, the impending corporate warfare at Deception is going to be a spectacle of epic proportions. Imagine the tension in that boardroom. Lucy will be desperately clinging to her remaining shares, terrified that her life's work is slipping through her fingers. Serena will be circling like a shark, utilizing every legal loophole and financial maneuver to seize control of the patents and the PR machinery. The alliances will shift by the hour. We are going to see secret meetings in dimly lit restaurants, encrypted files being stolen from corporate servers, and public screaming matches at the Metro Court. In the center of this hurricane must stand Maxie, the only person with the institutional knowledge and the sheer stubbornness to outmaneuver Serena and keep Lucy from completely self-destructing. The psychological warfare between Serena and the new Maxie will be the cornerstone of this entire arc. Serena is not going to play fair. She will exploit every personal vulnerability and professional misstep to destabilize the current leadership. If Sofia Mattsson is playing Maxie, we might see a more grounded, intensely emotional defense of the company. If Kelly Monaco takes the reins, we can expect a fierce, almost dangerous edge to Maxie's corporate strategy, bringing a darker, more cynical energy to the boardroom battles. Either way, the dynamic of Deception is about to shift from a glamorous cosmetics company to a cutthroat battlefield where only the most ruthless executives will survive the summer. The shattered trust among the partners will mirror the chaotic energy of the recast itself, creating a meta-narrative of instability and survival. Ultimately, I am not ready to declare anything as absolute fact, because the soap opera world is built entirely on smoke, mirrors, and last-minute contract negotiations. It is entirely possible that Kirsten Storms is already quietly filming her return, ready to reclaim her throne just as the first shots of the Deception War are fired. But if the rumors hold any weight, and the network is truly scrambling to fill her shoes, we are in for a turbulent and fascinating ride. Whether it is the safe, calculated pivot to Sofia Mattsson, or the mind-bending, desperate gamble of bringing back Kelly Monaco, the writers know that Deception cannot fall without Maxie standing on the front lines. Keep your eyes peeled, ladies, because the next time those boardroom doors swing open, the face staring back at Lucy and Serena might just shock us all to our very core.